Hey, like, share, and subscribe. Hey, how y'all doing? Today's video is going to be about Marty Jannetty. And Marty Jannetty quite possibly admitting to a murder on Facebook. Oh, okay. Let's before we get there, let's tell all the new people, all the young people about Marty Jannetty. I do everything from memory, so this is going to be me info dumping what I know about Marty Jannetty, all the important things about Marty Jannetty. Well, if you go back, Marty Jannetty is known mostly as the tag team partner of Shawn Michaels when they wrestled as the Rockers. Initially, they were the Midnight Rockers. They wrestled through the AWA, won the AWA Tag Team Championships. They were a really good team. They never won the WWE Tag Team Championships, even though they did win the titles. Quote unquote, they won them. But the Tag Team Championship match was thrown out because the rope broke. There was a rope break. They beat the Hart Foundation, but there was a rope break in the match, and Vince decided we're not going to show that because the match was trash, and therefore they threw it out, and the Rockers never technically became the WWF Tag Team Champions, though they were probably one of the most over teams in the company. The Rockers are fucking fantastic. And Marty Jannetty is also fantastic, but so is Shawn Michaels. So you had when the team broke up, I believe in 1992, where Shawn super kicked Marty on the episode of, I believe it was Superstars, during the segment that used to be hosted by Bruce the Barber Beefcake, the barbershop. He super kicked Marty, threw his face through the window, a very dark segment for its time, a very graphic segment because you had a man's face being thrown through glass. And it started a 2-year feud between Shawn and Marty, which was so fucking awesome. It was fan-fucking-tastic, man. You had now it was great. So you had situations where Marty would just appear out of nowhere. Like there was one scene where Shawn is with Sherry, and Shawn's looking at himself in the mirror because he's doing the sexy boy gimmick now. We'll talk about some of that stuff later, but and out of nowhere Marty just comes from behind him and he's got that shake going, and I'm just like, oh shit! It was so much fun looking at Shawn and Marty, and they had such great chemistry. It was fucking awesome. And during this feud, Marty Jannetty actually beat Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental Championship in what was probably one of the best Raw matches ever. It was a really fucking awesome match. It was a very short run. I don't remember Marty actually wrestling anybody else as the Intercontinental Champion. I do believe that he lost the title maybe within the next month or so. He wasn't champion that long, and he dropped the title right back to Shawn. And then they continued to feud. They had a great match at the Royal Rumble. I believe it was Royal Rumble 90. I believe it was Royal Rumble 93, where they had a fantastic match. But eventually that feud ended. Okay, eventually the feud had to end, and this is where Marty Jannetty's problems kind of popped up because Marty had nothing going for him after the feud with Shawn. There was no idea what to do with Marty. Now, when teams break up, usually one person from the team benefits from the breakup. And usually what that is because they usually get all of the gimmicks that came with the team. Because the team, especially if the team is over, then everybody kind of remembers one person and they get everything. It's like a divorce. When you get a divorce, you kind of split the assets. But in wrestling, usually one person gets all of the assets. So to give you an example, Roman Reigns. When the Shield broke up, Roman Reigns got to keep the music. He got to keep the aesthetic. He got to keep, even through the walking through the crowd entrance, he got to keep everything. When the Hart Foundation separated, Bret Hart kept everything. He kept the music, the pink and black attire, the jackets, the sunglasses. All of that stuff was Hart Foundation stuff that Bret just got to keep because the team broke up. The British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith got to keep everything from the British Bulldogs. And usually, if you look at these examples, you can see that it actually benefited those guys because they became the benefactors of all of the good feelings that people had about the team. When people look at Roman Reigns, they still think about the Shield. They look at Bret Hart, they still think about the Hart Foundation. But it wasn't a positive thing for Marty. When the Rockers broke up, all Marty had was plain babyface Marty Jannetty. There was no edge to the Rockers. They were clean baby faces. That's really what they were. And now Marty was stuck with that. He was, boxed in by just being Rocker Marty Jannetty. Now he had other problems, him and Shawn, with drugs and alcohol and partying and, having a bad reputation. But Marty was a great worker. Now, Marty did win the WWF tag team titles with the 1-2-3 Kid, Sean Waltman. It was a very short run. I believe he lost the titles maybe the next week or maybe even the next night, the next day or something like that. He wasn't a tag team champion very long. So he did get 2/3 of the Triple Crown. And Marty Jannetty, after that, well, you have to back up a little bit because during the time with the Rockers, we started seeing a little bit of a downfall because this is when Marty Jannetty broke a man's neck. So Marty Jannetty broke a man's neck with the rocker dropper, which is the Faymaster. For people who don't know, it is when you do a leg drop to an opponent who is bending over, looking at the mat. So it was like a leg to the back of the head, pushing it down into the mat. Marty performed this move on a man, broke that man's neck, and cost Vince McMahon over $1 million. And I'm pretty sure it was like $4 million, $8 million, or some crazy number like that. It was an insane amount of money that Marty Jannetty cost Vince McMahon. It was not good. Not good. But it really didn't affect his push, I don't believe. I don't believe, unless it happened right before the Rockers broke up, I don't believe it affected his push that much at all. I think it was just an accident. But of course, people have long said that maybe Marty was on drugs. But, things also happen in wrestling. Things just happen. So after Marty's run with Sean, he had the tag team with Sean Waltman, and then they broke up. Then he tried to reform the Rockers with Al Snow, who was Leif Cassidy at the time. It was fucking awful. They were actually a heel team, which is even worse because it's not. It just did not work. It sucked. And I can tell you that I really don't know what happened to Marty Jannetty after 1996. So from 1996 to, I don't know, was it 2005? There's nothing positive to be said about Marty Jannetty. I can't tell you anything good. All I know is a lot of history of arrests, drugs, and alcohol, different things like that, him being on house arrest and him not being able to perform, and him not being able to travel. It's a lot of messed up stuff that really ruined his career because he had something, going for him. He had some talent. But, he kind of got pigeonholed with the Rockers and there was nothing else he could do. And then once his reputation was fucked up, there was really nothing he could do. So the issue, so from between 1996 to about even today, with the exception of one positive thing, one thing in particular, there is nothing positive to be said about Marty Jannetty. Now, the one good thing that can be said about Marty Jannetty is that he had a match with Kurt Angle that was so awesome that even at that advanced age, people wanted him to get signed. So what happened? Well, Shawn Michaels was going to wrestle Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 21. And Kurt Angle was doing a series of vignettes or a series of promos where he was sort of mocking Shawn's history. This of course, gave us the infamous Sexy Kurt version of the Shawn Michaels theme song. And it also got us where Kurt Angle beat up Sensational Sherry, which was like one of her last big hurrahs in the wrestling business too. And Kurt Angle brought out Marty Jannetty, and there was a Marty Jannetty versus Kurt Angle match that was fucking awesome. I think also there might have been a Rockers reunion not too long after that. I forget what year that was in, but this particular match was fucking amazing. Okay, it was. You need to see Kurt Angle wrestle Marty Jannetty. You need to see it. So a lot of people. So it wasn't just Shawn. Shawn wasn't the only. It wasn't like Shawn got all the talent and Shawn was the only one that was really good. Marty was fucking good too, man. Marty was good, and even Shawn stole some moves from Marty. The super kick was one of Marty's moves, even though they both stole it from Chris Adams. But as far as matches concerned, if you watch old Rockers matches, it was actually Marty that used to do the super kick. It was never Shawn. But once they started going solo, Shawn just started taking different things from Marty and just, whatever. He became like Mega Man, where he would take something from every opponent that he wrestled. Like he stole Tito Santana's flying forearm. He stole Randy Savage's flying elbow drop. He just kind of started stealing different things from guys. So that's the story of Shawn Michaels. But that match was fucking fantastic. And I don't remember whether the Rockers reunion match was after that or before it, because I don't remember it that well. I'm pretty sure it was like in '09 or something like that with the Rockers reunion match. But I don't remember that well. So I choose to remember the most important thing, which is the Marty Jannetty Kurt Angle match. But there was a lot of drugs and alcohol in Marty Jannetty. He couldn't get signed anywhere. He couldn't do anything because he had such a felonious history that he was constantly on house arrest and various different things like that. So we fall into 2017. 2017, we get this really bizarre Facebook message from Marty Jannetty where he claims to, I just got to read it, okay? He claims to have been hacked, but this was what he said. If you loves me as much as I loves you, you will give me your opinion. Just did a DNA 2 weeks ago. She's not my daughter. We both held out of sex because you don't do that. But now that we ain't, from a guy's side, she's fucking hot, but she's been daughter. I want to too, but can't get past that. So apparently he posted a picture of this lady who looks to be about 20 some odd years old. And said that he thought this lady was his daughter. Now that he found out that she isn't, he wants to have sex with her. And this is sad Marty. Now we're getting into sad Marty stuff. Okay, this is very sad. Okay, and he claimed he was hacked, but he has a history of drugs and alcohol. So now we're going to get into an article about Marty's problems. Now let's see if we can. Okay, this is from Pop Culture. WWE legend Marty Jannetty sparks concern after revealing drugs and alcohol abuse and sex addiction. This is from 2019 Pop Culture. Beloved WWE alumnus Marty Jannetty is worrying friends and fans after opening up about his drug, alcohol, and sex addictions. Jannetty, best known as part of the tag team with the Rockers with Shawn Michaels, posted a Facebook status entitled "A Cry for Help" on Wednesday. Wednesday would be, I don't know, because it was in June 2019. You know how I am about dates. In the note, he revealed that he had been on a bender since WrestleMania 35, which was held on April the 7th. He attributed his substance abuse issues to boredom, as his issues with his current life situation, especially as it compares to his wrestling heyday. Jannetty said, "Y'all know I play on here a lot, but I'm about to be real. Real right now. I've been partying way too much lately. Possibly every day since WrestleMania, however long ago that was, 30, 40 days. I don't even know, but I need to stop," Jannetty wrote. "But it's just hard. My personality doesn't allow me to be bored. And for me, going from 350 days a year on the road, over 100 beautiful ladies per year for many, many years, to living in backwoods Alabama right now and only doing shows on weekends, what the hell else am I going to do during the week? Drink, smoke a little plant, and possibly throw a little powder up, then have sex with all the neighbor girls." He spelled girls Gurrls. Marty Jannetty is 60. Okay. And he spelled girls Gurrls. What that sounds like the wrestling public and appearances have been able to pull Jannetty out of his rut. He went on to reveal his addictions have now started to interfere with his career. Marty Jannetty has not been fucking... Oh, okay. Let's not get into it. He's not relevant. But it's time to stop. I'm not working out right now. Not tanning right. Not studying film. Hell, I ain't even doing shit but drinking. Fucking. Sorry about the language. But waiting for the weekends, he wrote. And now I got 3 events this weekend. I'm embarrassed at my own damn self to go do these things in front of my people looking like a pale, white, fat pig. And I think I have a seminar to do. Nothing means more to me these days than teaching my kids. But I've partied so much lately that if I stop for a full day, I go into some weird withdrawal shit. My hands start shaking so bad I can't even sign autographs right. And therefore, just like what all I'm doing this weekend, starting tomorrow, a baseball game, an all-girls wrestling event, a seminar, and a meet and greet for my great friend Denham Blevins' show, I'm going to have to drink my way through all of that so I don't go through withdrawals in front of my people. The 59-year-old wrestler who has held WWE's and then WWF's Intercontinental and Tag Team Championships admits he needs help, but said he does not want to check into any sort of rehab. He cited 2 previous experiences when he tried to undergo treatment. One stint ended with a physical altercation with a counselor, and a sex addiction rehab stint ended with him entering into a sexual relationship with his counselor. He ended the note on a concerning bit about his health. He said his heart hasn't been beating right, which he attributes to his current lifestyle. My heart is talking to me, Jannetty said. Hasn't been beating right for 2 days now, he wrote. Not to scare anyone, especially my family, but just further proof I've got to stop. Just told my heart I will stop. Just let me wean down so it's not dangerous. Jannetty has since followed up that note with another status indicating that he was forced to cancel a public appearance due to his sister being checked into ICU. The WWE, which has been recently under fire for his treatment of his past and current talent, has not commented on Jannetty's condition. They could send Jannetty to rehab all he wants. Jannetty is not. He's fucked. He's a fucked up case. Okay, Jannetty is just bad. He's a waste of money. You know, he's like Scott Hall. You know, maybe Jannetty kind of needs DDP yoga. You know, but that's not even the worst thing. I wakes up today, August the 5th, 2020. I wake up to find out Marty Jannetty has posted some more bullshit on his Facebook page. So this is what he posted, apparently the morning of August the 5th. I never told no one this, even my brother Gino, because I love Gino. Gino would have killed him, and I didn't want my brother gone. Hell, he'd only recently came home from Vietnam. I was 13, working at Victory Lane's bowling alley, buying weed from a fag that worked there, and he put his hands on me. He dragged me around to the back of the building. You already know what he was going to try to do. That was the very first time I made a man disappear. They never found him. They should have looked in the Chattahoochee River, but Winnie, the girl in the pics, I likes you so damn much, probably my favorite, but I promised myself way back then, nobody would ever hurt me again. That includes you. I love you, but you hurt me with your own fucking Jamaican jealousy. You can go your own way. I don't need you. What is going on? And then somebody asked him, is he okay? He says, me and Winnie just had a fallout, but if you're asking about the other thing, yes, that was 1 billion years ago. Plus, I have the satisfaction of knowing that bitch-ass ninja never got to do another kid like that. So apparently Marty Jannetty is talking about being molested at 13 by some guy who he was buying drugs from. And then apparently he murdered this man. This is what... Now, is it possible that Marty Jannetty has been, quote unquote, hacked again? I suppose it's possible. But don't be surprised if you see Marty Jannetty get arrested. This is the saddest shit. This is so fucking sad. You know, this is terrible. And it's been a long time coming. The decline of Marty Jannetty has been going on for almost 30 years. He has now been a drug addict and alcoholic longer than he was a professional wrestler. He has been known, his alcohol and drug addictions have surpassed any wrestling accomplishments he could ever have. The whole shit with him wanting to have sex with his daughter, which, looking at all his other behaviors, I don't believe he was hacked. I don't believe he was hacked during this time either. Okay, now, is it possible that he was hacked? Sure, I guess, but I don't believe it. This is sad. I am saddened by this because I really like the Rockers, and I was always one of those people who kind of wanted Marty to finally, you know, break through and not be the champion or anything, but be able to find a regular roster spot, you know, to be one of the guys to get his just due for his part of the Rockers, you know, like the guy who usually falls out of the tag team, you know, he very rarely reaches the heights of the guy that's the star of the tag team, you know, like the Hardy Boys. You got Jeff Hardy and you got Matt. You've got Jeff, who is even still a top performer in WWE today, while Matt Hardy is struggling to find any relevance in AEW, even though he's one of the hottest prospects that they've ever had. You know, even though I wouldn't call him a prospect. He was one of the hottest signings they ever had. Let's put it like that. And, you know, you can go through this with tag teams. And maybe I'll do that video where we could talk about tag team divorces and how it benefited each person. But nobody has had the fall off that Marty Jannetty has had, except maybe the Dynamite Kid. Like, that's it, man. Like, these guys have fallen into such disrepair. Now, Dynamite Kid is dead. You know, and I'm surprised Marty Jannetty is not dead. And that's sad to say. because Marty Jannetty is one of those wrestlers from the 80s, and the 80s has been really bad to a lot of performers. You know, Mr. Perfect is dead. Kerry Von Erich is dead. A lot of the Von Erichs are dead. You know, if not all of them except Kevin. Kevin is the only one that's still alive because he might have been the only one that didn't do drugs and alcohol. You know, everybody from the Coke era of wrestling is either a fucking drug addict right now, in recovery right now, or fucking dead. You know, Scott Hall, Jake Roberts, Arn Anderson is a recovering alcoholic. Ric Flair is an alcoholic. Hulk Hogan with the Coke, and Randy Savage with the Coke, and everybody is, Hellwig also with the Coke and the steroids. It's just the 80s, man. Jannetty is one of those guys. And it's sad to see what he's fallen to. But it would make perfect sense that he would have such problems if he had been molested before. You know, if he had been molested, and, because Scott Hall, who was Razor Ramon, he talked about, shooting and killing somebody when he was a bouncer at a club. The guy was trying to kill him. He ended up killing that guy, and that actually was the root of his alcohol addictions, his drug addictions and stuff. Is that he was dealing with the trauma of having killed somebody. Is it possible that Marty Jannetty is dealing with the trauma of being molested? And that is why he's always drunk and high and whatever. That's entirely possible. But we'll never know, because nobody outside of maybe somebody from that works in like a human resources department at WWE that's going to send him to rehab or something like that. Other than that, nobody's going to fuck with Marty Jannetty. They're going to wait for him to die, and that's sad. It's going to let him die because there's nothing else he could do. And a lot of people say all the time, why doesn't Shawn help Marty? Shawn and Marty probably have not really been friends in a long time. And I know it sucks for Shawn, because whenever Marty Jannetty's name come up, Shawn's name comes up. So it's, and you can't really talk about Marty's drug addictions and drug problems without knowing that Shawn had them too. Just Shawn got forced into rehab because WWE really, really wanted Shawn Michaels to get together. They didn't really care about Marty Jannetty because Jannetty wasn't the valuable one. He wasn't the marketable one. So they kind of let Marty flap in the wind. They probably tried to help him here and there, but there are some people that they just kind of let go. And I think Marty is just one of the guys where they just kind of let him go. Kind of like let Marty be Marty. It's over, And, it's not like they haven't done that to other people. They kind of did it with Jake Roberts, too. They kind of did it with Scott Hall, too. They kind of did it with Kurt Hennig. They kind of did it with, a lot of the younger guys who've died, like Lance Cade and stuff like that, where they try to help them. But if they say, no, I don't want to do it, they just kind of let you go flap in the wind. They can't force you to go to rehab. And if Marty Jannetty doesn't want to go to rehab, what the fuck can you do? But now we're going to have the Dark Side of the Ring episode on Marty Jannetty with pills and alcohol and apparently a murder. This is sad. This is some sad shit. This is sad. Okay? This is terrible. This is sad. And I don't know what other note to end it on except Marty Jannetty is a sad case. And a lot of people are on Twitter and stuff, just judging him and shit. Look, man, Marty Jannetty has been in a dark place for longer than most people have been watching TV, let alone watching wrestling. Most people, Marty Jannetty has been in a dark spot since the 80s, man. He is struggling. I need Marty to, maybe going to jail might, for a long period of time, might clean him up. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it will take. Maybe this confession is going to be what he needs to get it together. But like this video, share the video, subscribe to my channel. If you're a prayer person, pray for Marty Jannetty. I don't know what else. I'm not an SJW, so I'm not gonna be cancel culture about Marty Jannetty. Dude's fucking 60. He's not wrestling anywhere. Okay, we're talking about his quality of life now, not the wrestling business. We're talking about, can this guy possibly, live what few years he probably has left in some type of comfort and not, he already living in obscurity. He's been living in fucking rural Alabama or some shit, we need some help. He needs some help, you know. But whatever. You know, like this video, share, subscribe. Thank you for listening.